Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Back at you with a new video. Today is Monday, December 15th, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ ORION NWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Miami Dolphins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kickoff already underway. Big interception there by the Pittsburgh Steelers by Asante Samuel Jr. And we all are going to get settled in here momentarily. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And let's get it, baby. A little bit longer when I clicked on the to be able to call the game at the start time. It ended up going to, an empty stadium. So then I thought, oh, the game is delayed. And so then I was trying to do some other things and figure out what we're going to do. And finally, I got everything settled in with the thumbnail and the tags. And I'm not sure why ESPN gave me a link for, maybe pregame. But again, I am here. Apologize for a little bit of the delay. And hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It's 0-0, so I haven't missed any scoring, thank God. But again, I was getting very confused. I think it might be the first time that I've ever tried to start a game on time, click on the link. They show an empty stadium with, all of the guys in the pregame talking. So then I'm looking on social media to see, if there's some kind of crazy weather delay. And then lo and behold, I refresh everything, check out on my, cable box, social media. And then I notice the game is going on. And, at that point I'm scrambling. So that way I have to get everything situated. So I was ready at kickoff. But again, when I clicked on the ESPN link, it showed like, I guess a pre-show, and I thought that was live, and apparently it wasn't. Then I ended up refreshing everything and noticed that the game is going on, and had to definitely scramble, but I am here. Big interception there on Tua by Asante Samuel Jr. 0-0 here early between the Dolphins and the Steelers. But I hope everyone is having a better Monday than me. Again, that's the first time that's ever happened, but it is what it is. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Marine in the building, what's good? Toby in the building, what's good? Yeah, Jags Broncos on Sunday should be interesting. And again, you're starting to get some good momentum, with the Jags and the Texans. We assumed that the Colts would start losing games without Daniel Jones. They played the Seahawks very close, but it feels like the Jags and the Texans will be in the playoffs. I would say the Jags, Texans, and Chargers are the underdogs. And then obviously we know the Broncos, the Bills, and the Patriots are the favorites. But as long as you get into the dance, anything can happen. All right, here we go. First down and 10, 6-yard run there. And Jaylen Warren bouncing off one and leaping, 6-yard gain, 2nd down and 4 at the Pittsburgh 25. I got to make sure everything is situated here. Feel the thumbnail definitely threw me for a loop. Because I had to get new images. I had TJ Watt and I had, a couple other Tuas, but they didn't really look good. And then all of a sudden, an hour went to a half hour to, 15 minutes. And I'm glad I finally got it all situated. But again, if I was able to get on the proper link, then we would have been here right at kickoff. Jaylen Warren up the middle with a 3-yard gain. Jordan Brooks with the tackle. 3rd down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 28. But I guess on the bright side, when you end up having these issues, at least there hasn't been, 2 scores, and I'm already out of the mix at like a 3-3 or 7-7 game. So 3rd down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 28. And we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can get the job done here on this drive. Connor Hayward And they went for the tush push, but I don't think they got it. And a great defensive stop there, I believe, by the Miami Dolphins. And now it's going to be 4th down and 1. Not really sure why they would have Connor Hayward, the tight end. I know he's a big body there, and I know he's done that more than once this season. 7th carry of the season. Obviously, you don't really want to run a tush push with Aaron Rodgers with his age, so I get it. All right, 4th down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 28, and let's see what they decide to do here. Hayward again. Tush push, and that time they get the 1st down. 1st down, Steelers. Move the chains. Shotgun set, Rodgers short right to Kenneth Gainwell. Judon there with the coverage. 2nd down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 30. Yeah, I think this game can, be pretty competitive. I don't know if it's going to be as high scoring as yesterday's matchup, but again, hopefully, with these two teams, obviously the Miami Dolphins, 4-game win streak. So at least they have that going for them. 6-7, 2-4 on the road. And then 7-6 Pittsburgh Steelers, 4-3 at home. We obviously know that the AFC North and the NFC South are the two worst divisions, with the Steelers and Ravens battling for a playoff spot, as well as the Buccaneers and the Panthers. So somebody's got to make it from these two conferences, but we will hopefully see a back and forth battle, and hopefully we get a few touchdowns and a few field goals. Shotgun set, Rodgers to deep middle to DK Metcalf. 1st down, Steelers. Nice throw there by Rodgers and a nice catch there by DK. 1st down, Pittsburgh. Move the chains. 1st down and 10 at the Miami 48. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. 0-0 here early between the Dolphins and the Steelers. We'll see if Pittsburgh can keep moving the chains. And handoff. Nice cutback there, but just can't slip away from Ashton Davis, the safety. Jalen Warren with a 6-yard run. 2nd down and 4 at the Miami 42. Got to be exciting, though, to see the Jags, in the playoff hunt. And again, the Texans have started to come around as well. So, even though the Texans, Jags, and Chargers may be the underdogs, it's definitely possible that they could upset someone in the playoffs. And that's what makes the NFL so special. Even though we do believe that the Broncos, Bills, and the Patriots are the 3 best, but again, if you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. Fake throw and then a handoff there. And Jalen Warren tripped up. 1-yard gain. Jack Jones, the corner, with a nice tackle. 3rd down and 3 at the Miami 41. That'll be a good matchup, Toby. And shotgun set, Rodgers, short right to Calvin Austin III. Incomplete. And that's going to be 4th down and 3 at the Miami 41. The Steeler drive temporarily stalls, but we will see what they decide to do here on 4th down. We got a couple NFL games on Saturday, and obviously the college football playoff starting on Friday. Oklahoma, Alabama, and then you have Oregon and JMU on Saturday. And we know the Dolphins typically don't play very good in cold weather, so that'll be another thing to kind of keep an eye on with Tua and his throwing mechanics. We already know he throws picks in hot, comfortable weather, but definitely a little bit more pressure here. Shotgun set on 4th down. Rodgers to Gainwell. He got it. There we go. 1st down, Steelers. 1st down and 10 at the Miami 32. There we go. And again, normally you don't want to be going for it on 4th down that often, But again, when each team has already had the football, at some point, something's got to give. Both of these teams are hovering around 500. Pittsburgh is, definitely wanting to make the playoffs over the Ravens. This is a must-win game for both teams. And again, good decision there. Nice throw. And again, one-on-one to the outside. Rodgers putting the ball only where Kenneth Gainwell, the running back, could get it. Shotgun set, Gainwell off the left tackle, loss of a yard. Nice tackle there by Jordan Brooks, the linebacker for the Dolphins. 2nd down and 11 at the Miami 33. Second down and 11 at the Miami 33. And just the feel of this game being in the cold weather and with these two types of teams playing, you're not going to get, the scoring that we did in yesterday's matchup on Sunday Night Football in this one. But hopefully we can get at least one team into the 20s before this game is up. And you never know. Maybe we can get both, but that might be a challenge. 2nd down and 11. And Warren gets the screen there, but no gain. Jones and Robinson with great coverage there. 3rd down and 11 at the Miami 33. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Monday Night Football between the Dolphins and the Steelers. We're still knotted up at 0 with some pretty good defense on both sides early on. But again, at some point, something's got to give. Shotgun set for Rodgers. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Jordan Brooks, I see you. And that's going to wind the quarter down all the way to the end of the first quarter on 4th down and 20 now at the Miami 42. Nice job by Jordan Brooks. He's been flying around from sideline to sideline there for the Miami Dolphins. And obviously now with 4th down and 20, I think we'll know what's coming here momentarily. As we cue to a commercial break. End of the first quarter, 0-0 Dolphins and Steelers. All right, baby, let's go. We're at 10 likes, 40 to go. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Early matchup here between the Dolphins and the Steelers. No score early. 3 for 5 and a pick for Tua. Rodgers has been a little bit more efficient with some checkdowns. 1 deep pass there to DK, 6 for 7. And again, rushing yards, not what you would expect. Early on, you would assume that they would have ran the ball a little bit more, but 16 yards for Warren, 25 from Achane. And then again, who's going to get open, for the Dolphins and the Steelers? Hill, the tight end, with a reception for 20 yards early in that first quarter. DK with 1 reception for 22, but it's been pretty much all defense. And Jordan Brooks, 6 solo tackles and a sack lunch to end the first quarter. And Jalen Ramsey with a few tackles himself. And hopefully the game will be able to slowly but surely open up. 54 total yards for the Dolphins to the 48 of the Steelers there in the first quarter. All right, started the second quarter here just momentarily. And then Waitman there with the punt. 42 yards, and that turns into a touchback. First down and 10 at the Miami 20. $87 subs to go to 23,400. So we're slowly but surely making some movement there. And let's see what Tua can do on this particular drive. Hopefully not throw another interception. All right, baby, here we go. Tua versus Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. No TJ Watt, obviously, today. When, the hospital is a calling, you got to make sure you're taking care of your body. So prayers up to him, and hopefully we'll be able to see him back at some point. 2-yard run there by Jalen Wright. Queen and Sawyer with the coverage in the tackle. Second down and 8 at the Miami 22. Tough sledding for the offenses early in the first quarter, but hopefully things will open up with Tua and Aaron Rodgers here in the second. Minutes left here in the second quarter, knotted up here at 0. Shotgun set. Waller on that left end. I see you, Darren. Malik Harrison there with the tackle with that 8-yard run there by Darren Waller. Former Raider tight end who retired from football and then decided to come back. First down and 10 at the Miami 30. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. Shotgun set. Tua, short left. Darren Waller there. And we'll see what they end up doing here after the first down. Shotgun set. And Achane is there running towards that left side. Second down and 5 at the Miami 35 after that 5-yard run. Malik Harrison, sideline to sideline, making some tackles here early for the Steelers. And at some point, they're going to have to go deep and challenge the secondaries with the safeties over the top. But again, you do have some individuals that can pound the rock and, get you chunk yardage to make it third and short rather than third and long. That'll be key. Shotgun set. Achane off that left guard, 3 yards. And Cameron Hayward with a nice tackle there. Third down and 2 at the Miami 38. 40 degrees and under at kickoff. Tua's 0 for 5, so he's got to buck that trend. And both quarterbacks are probably going to have to run the football slightly, even though they're not really, made for that, compared to some of the other quarterbacks. Queen and others chirping with the Dolphins. Definitely getting the extracurriculars are coming out. Third down and 2. Big third down here for Miami on the road in this cold weather front. They're on the Miami 38. Looks like they're going with trips right. Man in motion. Shotgun set for Tua with one running back there. And Tua decides to scramble himself only for a yard. And Patrick Queen loves to chirp, decides to chase him down. And that could have been close to a horse collar or a face mask. But it doesn't look like there's any flag that's coming out. And that might be 4th down and 1 at the Miami 39 with that awkward takedown. They may have to review the spot on where he went down here. All right, 4th down and 1, and Miami doesn't want to challenge. and lines up for the punt, but they have a delay of game, which brings them back. 4th down and 5 at the Miami 35. You're not going to see any fakes like we saw with the Cowboys and Aubrey yesterday. At least not on this upcoming play. 11 minutes to go here before halftime. Still knotted up at 0 early. Tua with a pick in the first quarter in cold weather. No surprise there. But maybe a little bit of a surprise with Pittsburgh not scoring in the first quarter. And the Dolphins defense, holding somewhat tough. And Austin with the catch there, but immediately hit. A bang-bang play there on special teams by Miami. He's lucky he didn't drop that football. Calvin Austin III. Count your blessings. 1st down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 29 as we come back from the commercial break. 11:04 left in the second quarter. Still knotted up at 0. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes. 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Appreciate you. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 29. And we'll see what Aaron Rodgers can do on this particular drive. And hopefully they'll be able to punch it in with Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, or one of the other offensive weapons. Obviously tough sledding for both of these teams early, but hopefully we will get some points here sooner than later. We got a good one on Thursday night between the Rams and the Hawks. Sad that Devontae Adams ended up having that injury. He will not more than likely be available in that game based on what happened. And prayers up to him and Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons with season-ending injuries, especially getting them in December. That's not ideal. First down and 10 here for Aaron Rodgers. Halfback toss. And a nice cutback there by Jalen Warren. First down, Steelers, but the penalty flag is thrown, and that's going to be offensive holding on Jonnu Smith, the tight end. And after a big first down run by Jalen Warren, that gets taken off, and now it's going to be first down and 20 at the Pittsburgh 19. Come on, Jonnu. Let's see if Jonnu Smith actually held here. Yeah, it looks like he did, hang on a little bit too long. Shotgun set, Rodgers, short middle to Adam Thielen, the former Viking and Panther, still playing in the league. Nice 7-yard pass. Dodson with the coverage. Second down and 13 at the Pittsburgh 26. Broke his wrist in 3 places in week 11. Wow. Shotgun set for Rodgers. Short right to Darnell Washington, the tight end. 10-yard pass. Now you're getting into manageable territory here on third down. Jones and Dodson with the tackle for the Dolphins. 3rd down and 3 at the Pittsburgh 36. Oh, did that ball come out? Wow. They were scrambling there trying to rip that football out of Darnell Washington. Wow, 6'7", 264 from Georgia. He's a big boy. And obviously it's going to take quite a few guys to bring him down, as you can see. You got 4, 5, 6 Dolphins trying to wrap him up. Shotgun set, Rodgers. Uh-oh, it's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Seiler there with the sack lunch on Aaron Rodgers, and that's going to go to 4th down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 29. Just when you think, one of these offenses is going to get going, then the defense ends up making a big sack lunch or a big play just like that. Less than 9 minutes to go before halftime, 0-0, Dolphins and Steelers. And I don't think we've seen an NFL game on prime time be at 0 for both teams at half. And hopefully this won't be the first. Steelers with the punt. Corliss Waitman. And that's down by Asante Samuel. And now it's going to be 1st down and 10 for Tua at the Miami 31. As we go to the commercial break, 8:35 left in the second quarter, 0-0 here between the Dolphins and the Steelers. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Yeah, seriously, right? I hope we don't have a 0-0 game. And again, I was pissed, after, being prepared, went live, had everything going. Then I see nobody in the stadium, and it was looking like maybe the game was delayed. And thankfully, I didn't miss a few touchdowns or a few big plays, but I was still able to get in here, relatively okay time, with a few minutes passed in that first quarter. But, I've never had that happen to me before. And I guess it's with ESPN and all of their different options with like Manning Cast and ESPN Deportes and ESPN2 and whatnot. But hopefully that'll never happen again. But again, didn't really miss anything besides Tua's pick. And again, both teams, tough sledding, obviously early on. And it's not like the Dolphins and Steelers are known for amazing defense. They might be able to have some pretty good D at times, but again, it's not like we're watching, the Broncos and the Seahawks going at it right now or something of that nature, or like the Broncos and the Texans, going at it. And then if you saw, 0-0 with those defenses, then it makes sense, but again, defenses are, playing a little bit better than expected in this game. And then obviously the offenses are playing much worse than anticipated with Tua and Rodgers. And obviously that's why the, Dolphins are 6-7 and the Steelers are 7-6. No TJ Watt, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for Pittsburgh. Her early on, Tua's 0 for 5 in cold weather, could end up being 0-6. He throws picks in good weather and in bad weather. So, there's going to be some turnovers. But, is this going to be a field goal party? Are we going to get some touchdowns? Are we going to get at least one team to fucking 20? I sure as hell hope so. I mean, best case scenario, I think at this point would be like 2017, for a particular winner. But I don't know if you're going to get that many points based on the flow of this game and only 8:35 left before halftime. 1st down and 10, shotgun set. Achane with a run for 4 yards. And Malik Harrison is everywhere. Nice tackle by the linebacker. 2nd down and 6 at the Miami 35. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people making a lot of money in this game. And there probably will be some that will lose quite a bit in this game based on the 0-0 score here early. Shotgun set on 2nd down and 6. And incomplete, short left by Tua. Throwing it away. 3rd down and 6 at the Miami 35. I mean, obviously, if Tyreek and, a few of these other options were available for both teams, you might be able to get a little bit more. But Pittsburgh really hasn't been the same since they let Najee go, even though he's been injured for the Chargers. But, I don't think you can get enough out of just Jaylen Warren by himself for the most part. Steeler fans, they're still loving it in the cold. Even though it is still at 0-0. 3rd down and 6. Shotgun set. Tua, he's got a man. H-hand. There we go. Go, go, go. 1st down. Dolphins. 24-yard pass from Tua to H-hand. I like that. Wilson with the tackle. 1st down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 41. Here we go. This is what we want, right? We want Rodgers to go deep to DK, and we want Tua to find whoever the hell gets open. And again, that time, it ends up being a beautiful throw to the running back, H-hand. And we know when Achane is healthy, even though he is kind of injury prone, he does play like one of the top 15 backs, usually, in the NFL. Every once in a while, he'll have a game where it looks like he's a top 10 back. But again, injuries have been kind of lingering with him in his career. But when he's on the field and healthy, he definitely is a game breaker. 1st down and 10, 4-yard run there by Ollie Gordon, the second. Harrison there with the tackle again for Steelers. 2nd down and 6 at the Pittsburgh 37. Is this going to be, the first potential points that we're going to get? It kind of feels like it. We know the Steeler defense can get stingy. But hopefully we'll end up getting, at least a 3-3 at halftime or a 7-3 halftime score or something of that nature. And hopefully adjustments will be made and we'll get more points, in the second half. Achane goes off that left guard for about 5 yards. Lee and Patrick Queen, the former Raven, with the tackle. 3rd down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 32. Come on, Dolphins. Come on, Steelers. I want points. The only time it's acceptable to be 0-0 this late in the game, before halftime, is if you were playing with the Texans and the Broncos. Like the two best defenses going at it, but not the Dolphins and Steelers. Come on now. Maybe give the ball to Achane. You would assume it's going to be a 1st down here. But Achane ends up going off the field on 3rd down and 1. I don't like that. I mean, you can do a QB sneak with Tua and get the 1st down. You don't even really need to do the tush push, but we'll see what they decide to do here. About 5 minutes left here before halftime. 3rd down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 32. Come on, baby. Move the chains. Shotgun set. And wow, big hit by Patrick Queen. Ollie Gordon goes down. And again, loss of 4. 4th down and 5 at the Pittsburgh 36. We got an injured Dolphin there at the end of that play. And there was nobody there picking up Patrick Queen, untouched. And Ollie Gordon the second had nowhere to go. And if you go for a field goal, it'll be 50-plus yards. Hopefully Ollie Gordon the second, it's okay. Ollie got smacked, but again, when you go against a guy like Patrick Queen, things like that happen. Kick is up, and Riley Patterson, and it is good. There we go. 3-0 Dolphins. Hallelujah. We got points, baby. Let's go. Nice job by Riley Patterson. We got points, baby. And nice job by Riley Patterson. 3-0 Dolphins. High-up scoring is contagious as well. I mean, especially when we're having to showcase a kicker photo, things are pretty light in the scoring at this point. But 3-0 Dolphins, 5:11 left, and hopefully Aaron Rodgers, they like to be able to go with a heavy dose of Jaylen Warren. But again, it doesn't feel like, the Steeler offense is as efficient, when you only got Warren really getting a majority of the looks. And with him, he's more of like an RB2, change of pace back. You definitely need that big bruiser back like Najee that they had in the past, and it was a great 1-2 combo. But when Najee left, even though he did get hurt, when he went to the Chargers, it feels like, there's something missing, with the team. Warren is a pretty decent back, but I don't think he's good enough to be a starter. They need another guy that's just as good as him, maybe preferably a little bit bigger body and a little bit better. And then that way they can kind of sprinkle him in. And then he was able to be a little bit more effective instead of him being kind of the 3-down back. And eventually, you kind of figure him out, with that body frame. He doesn't really have the same type of skill set as like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bucky Irving as a smaller back. Obviously, there's still some skill set there out of Jaylen Warren. And at times he plays well and he can still score a couple touchdowns in a game when he gets enough, touches. But, offensive line needs to be, obviously reworked and retooled. A couple more options at wide receiver. You have Freiermuth and DK. So you still got, some options at wide receiver and tight end, but, it's probably not really ideal to have a quarterback that's 40 years old and up with Aaron Rodgers, but, it is what it is. And again, the defense with no TJ Watt still doing a good job, and prayers up to him. And kickoff short of the landing zone, which we've seen, a couple times here recently within the last few games. And that'll be a 1st down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 40 after that kick by Riley Patterson ends up going short of the landing zone. Shotgun set, Rodgers, short right to Jonnu Smith, a former Titan. 10-yard gain. Minkah Fitzpatrick with the tackle. 1st down and 10 for the Steelers. Move the chains. 1st down and 10 at the 50. Yeah, I don't think I would have ever predicted that we would have gotten our first points on the board in this game, with only a few minutes left before halftime. But I guess it's better than 0-0. And even with the ESPN debacle at the beginning of the game for me, it looks like I really didn't miss anything. I saw the pick, obviously from Tua. And other than that, that was really the only, big thing that happened in the first quarter. So both offenses kind of running in mud, both defenses playing well, at this point. But again, we want to see some points scored. 1st down and 10, Jaylen Warren, and bounces it to the right side. Jordan Phillips with the tackle, 3-yard gain. 2nd down and 7 at the Miami 47. Okay, about 4 minutes left here before halftime. Dolphins up 3-0 in a defensive matchup early on. Hopefully adjustments will be made, and I definitely want to be able to see some deep balls, by Tua and Aaron, regardless if those turn into picks or not. I want to see a fumble for a touchdown, a pick six, some deep throws. I want to see some points, and again, it's not like Achane and Warren aren't good enough to get in the end zone. They definitely are, but defensives obviously have been king so far. Rodgers, and there's Washington, the big boy, and gosh, he is hard to bring down. 6'7", almost 300 pounds at tight end from Georgia. 13-yard pass from Rodgers to Washington. First down, Steelers. Move the chains. And Dodson with the tackle. And as we saw in the previous catch for Darnell Washington, it took 6 Dolphins to bring him down. And again, if you're going to go at his legs, you better wrap up, because obviously just hitting with your shoulder pads and just reaching for a guy that's 6'7", 275-ish, you're not going to bring him down like that. Shotgun set. 4 wide receiver set with an empty back for Rodgers. Throws towards the sideline. And DK Metcalf is there. Or that's Gainwell, excuse me. Nice job there by Gainwell. First down, Steelers. And then we have timeout, Pittsburgh. All right, looks like Pittsburgh is going to score points on this drive. They're going to get a minimum of 3, you would assume, with Boswell, but if they can keep moving the football, again, we'll have a chance, hopefully, for, a good touchdown here for DK or one of the others. Jacob in the building. What's good, bro? Adam Thielen claimed off waivers recently. .236 left here in the second quarter. 3-0 Dolphins. And Gainwell going towards that right end, 4-yard gain. Jack Jones has been active at corner here in the first half. Second down and 6 at the Miami 20. So we're going to get at least the 3-3, tie at half. But if the Steelers can be a little bit more efficient, with the offensive line on this drive in the next couple minutes, it could end up being 7-3. And we are at the 2-minute warning. Second down and 6 at the Miami 20. So, they're getting very, very close now. Now it's just about the proper play call and the execution by Rodgers and the O-line. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. A field goal by the Dolphins, giving them the early 3-0 lead. Nice job there early by Riley Patterson. 54-yarder. It's not easy to make 50-yard kicks anymore. And we go to a commercial break, and we'll wait a few minutes from the commercials to end, and hopefully we'll have the Steelers in the end zone. And then we have the Rams and the Seahawks on Thursday night. We'll be doing that, obviously, in a few days. Saturday, you got the Eagles and the Commanders. Should be an easy game for Philadelphia on the road. And then you got a really good one between Green Bay and Chicago. The Packers and the Bears on Saturday. And obviously, we'll be doing either that game or Oregon versus JMU at the college football playoff. We'll probably be doing the Oregon game, but I will be watching that Packer-Bear game very, very closely. And then on Sunday, what do we got? We got the Bills and the Browns. We got the Chargers and the Cowboys, Chiefs and the Titans, Bengals and Dolphins, Jets and the Saints, the Battle of the Bads, Vikings and the Giants, Battle of the Bads, Tampa and Carolina, another Battle of the Bads, but somebody's got to win the division. Let's go Bucks. Jacksonville going against Denver. That's going to be spicy. Atlanta and Arizona, Steelers and Detroit, Raiders and the Texans. And then we got the Patriots and the Ravens on Sunday night, which we will do. And then the following Monday night will be the Niners and the Colts. So obviously the best game coming at the weekend is slated to more than likely be a couple matchups. There's a couple there that are okay. But obviously the Baltimore-New England matchup is spicy, but that Jacksonville-Denver, that might end up being the best matchup of the weekend. And I think Tampa, Carolina will be very spicy, just, considering both teams are 7-7 and they typically play each other pretty well. And, it just kind of stinks, if you're the Steelers or the Ravens or you're the Buccaneers or the Panthers, just considering you're both in the two worst divisions in football, AFC North and the NFC South. But, even if you go 9-8, I guess that will be enough, to be able to make the playoffs for either the Steelers or the Ravens or the Buccaneers or the Panthers. And I guess if you get in the dance, anything can happen. But, wish the team had some defense for the Buccaneers. 2-minute warning, 3-0 Dolphins. Let's get it, baby. Shotgun set for Aaron Rodgers. Short right to Kenneth Gainwell. And that's a nice 5-yard gain. 3rd down and 1 at the Miami 15. And again, Gainwell as well as Jaylen Warren, they're both kind of RB2s. So it's kind of, you can only get so far when you got 2 RB2s, on the team. And even Gainwell could be an RB3 if we're really being honest. But Gainwell does have a skill set. We saw him have some success, on the Philadelphia Eagles earlier in his career, but you need a little bit more. 3rd down and 1, and Miami calls timeout. First timeout for the Dolphins with 1:51 left here before halftime. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Lots of costumes in the crowd with Santa and the Grinch. All right, 3rd down and 1. Rodgers under center, halfback toss. And he doesn't get it. Wow, 4th down and 1. And timeout Miami. I mean, it's crazy how both of these teams are having a hard time just getting a yard, on 3rd down. It's like, again, sometimes you would think it would be a little bit easier with some of these play calls, but very questionable play calling for both of these rosters on 3rd down and short, and that's why we have a 3-0 game at this point. Defenses are playing well. Offenses are, not playing up to their potential, and it shows, and we'll see what happens here next. 0 for 6 on 3rd down, but again, you do have Aaron Rodgers, so not too surprised there. And they go with a direct snap with the tight end Connor Hayward for his 8th look of the year, and ends up getting 1 yard barely. 1st down Steelers. 1st down and 10 at the Miami 14. I can only imagine Steeler fans if they would have not got this 1st down. Again, going 0 for 7 on 3rd down and a half. I don't think I've seen a team all year be that poor on offense. And I've watched plenty of the Jets, the Saints, and a few other teams like the Raiders that have had some struggles as well. And another timeout here. That'll be their 3rd and final timeout here by Miami. This would have been a good game to shift out of the schedule. Sometimes they'll end up, shifting some of the games from, morning to afternoon, but usually you don't get them on the prime time, because again, it's not like Miami's going to be on prime time. And I imagine Dolphin fans have been waiting all year for this opportunity, to be able to watch their team once or twice, when they get that chance to be on Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night. But you want some good games, obviously, in December, and, most of them have been pretty good. little bit of a letdown, here with the scoring in the first half, but, hopefully the adjustments will be made and we'll get some action going in the second, but we still got time here for the Steelers to get a touchdown. And Gainwell there, short left from Aaron Rodgers. There we go. Nice 10-yard pass. First and goal at the Miami 4. Move the chains. Here we go. And as long as you don't get an epic fuck up by Rodgers or the center with the snap, it feels like in just a moment you're going to get a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Gainwell's been productive here in the second quarter. Maybe they need to run more offensive plays with Gainwell and Jaylen Warren in the game together. I mean, that's what I would do. First and goal at the Miami 4 with about a minute 21 left here in the second quarter. 3-0 Miami. But we are going to get a score here momentarily, it feels like. And Gainwell there. And nothing there for Gainwell. And then you got a face mask on Miami. That might be Jordan Brooks. I mean, he's been going sideline to sideline for the Dolphins. And that's going to go half the distance. And that's going to be first down and goal now at the Miami 2 instead of the 4. Pretty wicked face mask, too, for Jordan Brooks, not really letting go there after a few seconds. But I'm glad they at least got the call correct. All right, come on, Steelers. We want points, baby. Nobody wants to watch a game of 0-0 or 3-3. I mean, we want points. We need to be able to get one of these teams to 20, if not both, before this one is up. Shotgun set, Jaylen Warren for a yard. Jordan Brooks is there. Second and goal at the Miami 1, and Miami is making them earn every single inch, every single yard. They're not making it easy for Aaron Rodgers here with about a minute left before halftime. One more play to Warren or Gainwell, you would assume would be 6 here, but shotgun set. They go to Warren again. Jordan Brooks says, not today. Third and goal. Big stuff there. Gain of none. And you're still at the Miami 1. Wow. And then timeout, Pittsburgh. And again, if you did have more of a mobile quarterback, or if Aaron was younger, you could run a QB sneak with Aaron, or some kind of bootleg. But when you're over 40, obviously he's going to be limited on, the damage that is going to, be inflicted to him and what he's willing to take at this point in his career. We haven't heard Pat Freiermuth all day. We've seen some of the other tight ends, get a little bit of looks like Connor Hayward and whatnot and Jonnu Smith, but what about Pat Freiermuth? All right, we got about 21 seconds left here before half. And there we go. Connor Hayward, direct snap. I mean, they don't know what the hell they're going to do here. And they finally get in. Touchdown, Steelers. Connor Hayward, the tight end, with the direct snap right up the middle. And looking like kind of the Philadelphia Eagles with the tush-push look. And the Steelers will take a tush-push with Connor Hayward. And extra point is up and good. 7-3 Steelers. Thank God. We finally got some points here. I mean, it definitely took them all the way to the, last 5 minutes of the second quarter for both teams to score, but that's a lot better than seeing 0-0 on the scoreboard. Am I right? There we go. Nice job by Chris Boswell. First third down conversion all day. for the Steelers, which is not ideal, but they end up getting the touchdown. 7-3 Steelers with 17 seconds left, and I assume they'll just knee it, and then they'll be satisfied to go into half, only down by 4. Thank God we got 7-3, not 0-0. Connor Hayward with his first touchdown in his career. And we will see if they take any chances here with Tua with 17 seconds left. I highly doubt it, because if he goes deep, realistically, he'll throw a pick. And again, we'll see where this goes. 7-3 Pittsburgh. As we queue up to the commercial break. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it. Bang, bang. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. We had a Riley Patterson 54-yard field goal with 5:11 left in the second quarter. 7 plays, 33 yards, 3-0 Dolphins. And then Connor Hayward with a direct snap right up the middle. 12 plays, 60 yards, gets his first touchdown in a Steeler uniform. 7-3 Steelers. Not exactly what we anticipated when this game started, but it's much better than being at 0-0 going into halftime. Boswell, 65 yards, and that turns into a touchback off the kick. First down and 10 at the Miami 35 with about 17 seconds to go. Haven't really seen Waddle do anything. Tyreek is out. Achane, obviously when it's healthy, can move the football. But again, offensive lines for both teams aren't the greatest. And again, 5 for 8, 61 yards for Tua. No touchdowns, 1 pick, the pick in the first quarter. 13 for 14 for Aaron, 105 yards, no touchdowns and no picks yet. A lot of running, but again, haven't been that efficient. And that will be it. We go into halftime. Pittsburgh is going to receive the second half kickoff. And they're going to have a chance to get a little bit of momentum after getting that touchdown late by Connor Hayward. Yeah, I don't think Ollie Gordon will be back. Not the most exciting half of football, but again, could have been a lot worse. And a great job by both organizations by getting at least something on the board before halftime. 7-3 Steeler lead. And halftime won't be very long. We're looking at about 12 minutes, and we'll be right back into the action. And hopefully we'll get a few more opportunities for the Dolphins and Riley Patterson. Hopefully they'll be able to get in the end zone. And we'll see if Connor Hayward will find his self in the end zone again after getting that direct snap touchdown right before half. Achane 49 yards rushing, 23 yards receiving, and again, you're going to need to get Waddle the football. It feels like he hasn't really been a factor in a long, long time when you watch Miami games. And, Achane is great, but you got to stop playing safe football. And we know Tua struggles and the Dolphins struggle in cold weather. He's 0 for 5 in his career, but at least Jordan Brooks is playing like a monster, on one side of the ball with 6 solo tackles, 8 overall. And Patrick Queen is doing the same thing on the flip side with 5 tackles, 4 solo. So Brooks and Queen are doing a great job for their defenses for the Dolphins and Steelers. But again, we need offensive lines to play a little bit better for both teams if they're going to be able to get into the 20s before this one is up. I'm going to go check up on my pup here real quick. And again, we have less than 9 minutes to go. So I'll be back in about a minute or two. And we'll get right back into the second half. Pittsburgh will be getting the kick. And we'll see where it goes from there. All right, I'm back. Got my pup a little bit of dinner, some water, got her tucked in and settled in bed, and she'll be ready for a nice victory walk once this one is over. We got about 5 minutes to go here before halftime is up, 5 to 6 minutes. And they're going over some of the highlights over this weekend. And that's a tough one for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You know, when it rains, I guess it pours. And now he'll be out with the ACL tear, out for the year. great matchup between the Packers and the Broncos, two very well evenly matched teams. And Bo Nix, proving that he is the truth, even though people still want to doubt the Broncos. Definitely have a very good chance of making the Super Bowl this year, as good as any team in the AFC. Bills and Patriots will have something to say about that, as well as the Chargers, the Jags, and the Texans. But definitely feels like it's going to be Broncos, Patriots, or Bills. Probably Broncos, Bills, you would assume would be at the top, and then Patriots third. And you got the Eagles and the Seahawks and the Rams and the Lions and the Bears and the Packers and and the Niners. You got a lot of teams there, but kind of feels like the Rams and Seahawks probably have the best shot. But we'll see if there's any injuries between now and as we get to the end of the year. And definitely feels like the NFC could be up for grabs as well. (31-3) over the Browns. And obviously you can tell with the teams that are bad, they are very, very bad at this point of the year. Looking for draft position like the Raiders getting skunked 31-0. It seems like every year it's the same teams, the Browns, the Jets, and the Raiders. And, even though Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman, you put him at quarterback on any of those teams, it's not going to change. And the Browns already have Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders. So, if the Jets or the Raiders, draft Mendoza, I don't think that he's going to be able to solve the problems, that those organizations have. They need a hell of a lot more help than just a player like that. Panthers and Saints. And again, I couldn't end up beating the Saints a couple weeks ago at home with a torrential downpour. The Panthers couldn't win either in the Dome, and we're both 7-7. Somebody's got to win the NFC South. Berman and Booger. It was better when it was Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. I missed that combo. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. We got about 2 minutes to go before halftime, and the Steelers will be receiving. 7-3 Pittsburgh. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. If you're just tuning in here late, you didn't really miss a whole lot. Riley Patterson with a 54-yard field goal with 5:11 left in the second quarter. They were kind of going in mud, both offenses, Dolphins and Steelers. In the first quarter, it was at 0-0. But Riley Patterson with that 54-yarder, good leg, good kick, and that was a 7-play, 33-yard drive lasting 3 minutes and 24 seconds, making it 3-0 Miami. Then the Steelers, after going 0 for 5, 0 for 6, 0 for 7 on third down, finally end up getting a third down conversion to click. Connor Hayward, the tight end, with the direct snap, scoring his first touchdown of his career. 12 plays, 60 yards, 4:54 off the clock. Boswell's extra point was up and good, and we're sitting at a 7-3 Steeler lead, and Pittsburgh will be receiving the second half kickoff here in roughly 1 minute. Wish we had a little bit more scoring other than that, but we'll still have an opportunity for a fumble or a pick, or potentially a fumble for a touchdown, a pick six. Anytime you have Rodgers and Tua, battling it out at quarterback, there's always a possibility for points from the defense. And, if we're lucky, maybe we'll end up seeing some of that. All right, Aaron Rodgers, what do you got in store for us here in the second half? It's got to be a hell of a lot better than what we saw in that first half. All right, we're going to get into the action here in just a moment. All right, here we go. Second half just about to start. Steelers going to receive the kick. And hopefully we'll be able to get at least one team to 20 before this one is up. Preferably both would be great, but based on what we've seen, probably only one team is going to get there. I mean, unless we get a pick six, a fumble for a touchdown, or like a blocked punt or a blocked field goal, if we get something like that, then it's almost guaranteed you're going to get to 20 for at least one team. But defenses definitely have been dominant. Offenses have been a little lackluster and a little bit in mud. But again, there's still time, to make this, somewhat of a game. Could have been a hell of a lot worse. Could have been 0-0. Could have been 3-0, 3-3. So at least we got one touchdown, for Pittsburgh. But as fans, we want more. All right, here we go. Riley Patterson kick, 60 yards, and a nice 24-yard return there by Jaylen Warren. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 29. And let's see if they can find the right combination of players to get the ball to. And obviously, if you're a wide receiver like DK Metcalf or Jaylen Waddle, you're very frustrated, with the quarterbacks and the offense because you're just not getting the ball, clearly enough. And, it definitely shows you when you have an offense that's catered towards you, like it was in Seattle for DK. We already know, what kind of production that he can bring at times. And obviously with Aaron Rodgers, it's a different story. Same thing goes with Jaylen Waddle, even though he's been with Tua, just hasn't been able to get any kind of chemistry or looks on a consistent basis. Jaylen Warren runs off that right guard for a 6-yard gain. Jordan Brooks with another tackle there for the Dolphins. Great job by him. Second down and 4 at the Pittsburgh 35. And both quarterbacks have definitely been playing the game safely, at this point, but you got to take a few risks. TJ in the building. What's good? Shotgun set. Warren off that right side for a 3-yard gain. Third down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 38. Tell the wifey happy birthday. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Dude, I ended up hitting the link and I thought the game was delayed right when I was going to start, when it was supposed to start at 5:15. And luckily they didn't score any points by the time I started the stream a few minutes late. But Not something that I was planning for here on Monday night, but at least we have a 7-3 score at this point. 2-yard run there by Jalen Warren. And Brooks with another tackle. He is a monster. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 40. First down, Steelers. Move the chains. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Shotgun set, Gainwell, go, go, go. Wow. Kenneth Gainwell, that's what I'm talking about. First down, Steelers. Minka Fitzpatrick with the tackle, 40-yard run by Kenneth Gainwell. Oh, my. First down, Steelers. That looked like Kenneth Gainwell from, I don't know, maybe the Steeler, days earlier in the season, or maybe even when he was on the Eagles. Wow. Takes a hit, says no problem. And looks like they're going to end up making it a 38-yard run for Kenneth Gainwell instead of 40, but they'll take that. First down, Steelers. Way to bring the electricity into the game, Kenneth Gainwell. And again, based on what you've seen, in the first half and here early in the third, you may want to have Gainwell and Warren in the game at the same time. And in the building, how are you? And Gainwell gets another opportunity at it. 3-yard gain. Judon and Biggers there with the tackle. Second down and 7 at the Miami 19. Steelers getting a little bit of momentum after scoring right before the half. And if they continue on this trend, it's going to be 14-7. No, 14-3 in just a moment. They're going to get 3 automatically, but with Boswell. But if they can find a way to get it in the end zone, that would be even better. As long as they don't run towards Jordan Brooks' area. The play calling needs to be a little bit more creative for both teams, but I love that 38-yard run by Gainwell, giving us a little bit of excitement in a game that has been a little lackluster in the first half. About 11 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Second down and 7 at the Miami 19. Rodgers going deep. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS, touchdown, Steelers. Beautiful pass by Rodgers, and that was amazing. Touchdown, Steelers. Extra point is up by Boswell, and it is good. 14-3 Steelers. There we go. Nice job by MVS. I see you, Rodgers. Nice job, Rodgers. I see you, baby. 14-3 Steelers, and now we're going to have to see if Tua can respond. 11:20 left in the third quarter. 14-3 Steelers. That's more like it. And again, if Pittsburgh can keep on this trend, hell, they might end up hitting, into the high 20s, maybe even the 30s. And I'm not sure if Miami can even get to 17 before this is over. But if they can get a touchdown on this drive, they'll be right there back in this game. All right, Tua, you got to cook something going. So just a quick recap in the game. If you're just tuning in, Riley Patterson, 54-yard field goal with 5:11 left in the second quarter, 3-0 Dolphins. Then right before halftime, Connor Hayward with a direct snap. The tight end, 1-yard rush, 7-3 at half. And then we see Aaron Rodgers go to MVS with a big touchdown catch and 19 yards with the Boswell extra point. And just like that, after we were seeing a 0-0 game in the first quarter and for a good chunk of the second, now we have points, and hopefully it'll start spreading like wildfire and we can get a few more touchdowns by the Dolphins and the Steelers. Boswell kicks. And that's going to be short of the landing zone, which we've already seen earlier today by Miami. And now it's going to be 1st down and 10 at the Miami 40. Achane running off that left side, and Cameron Hayward is there, says not today, no gain. Nice tackle there by Cameron. 2nd down and 10 at the Miami 40. 14-3 Steelers with 11 minutes and some change left here in the third quarter. Shotgun set, Tua, short right to Alec Ingold, 4-yard pass. Harrison with the tackle, 3rd down and 6 at the Miami 44. Dank in the building. What's good, brother? How are you? No problem, Ann. Or Marie Ann. Ann Marie. Third down and 6 at the Miami 44, 14-3 Steelers. It's crazy that, a quarterback that's at the end of his rope in Aaron Rodgers can be that much more dominant, than Tua. But again, Tua is just not really a good quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he plays decent at times, but I sure as hell wouldn't want him as my quarterback. Shotgun set. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Jalen Ramsey, the former Jag, with the sack lunch. 4th down and 18 after that big loss. And now they move it to 4th down and 20. A 14-yard loss after that sack by Jalen Ramsey. And that's going to be 4th and 20 at the Miami 30. Yeah, I mean, we play the Dolphins and then the Panthers twice. So, again, if we just take care of business and can win 2 out of 3, beat the Dolphins and beat the Panthers once out of, 2 games here late, then we'll make the playoffs at 9-8. I don't expect us to beat anybody, but I would like to be able to win the division 5 years in a row. And, I like our offense. It's just that our defense stinks. And, we'll see what happens. And Jake Bailey with the punt and an 8-yard return there by Calvin Austin III, and it is 1st down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 23. Yeah, it's crazy that you would take A-Rod over Tua, but it's true. I think most people, and again, every once in a while, like if we're talking about Tua prior to maybe some of the concussions, and if Tyreek is there and Waddle is there and Achane is there, they had moments in the past where Tua at times looked pretty good. right? There would be times where he would look like a top 10 quarterback for a couple games during the regular season, but he's just too injury prone. And again, his throwing mechanics, his footwork, and just the overall vibe, you just don't really feel like confident that you can actually win games with him, game in and game out. And if you've noticed, with some of these wide receivers, if you don't have a good quarterback, you can have a really high-end profile wide receiver that's just going to get frustrated. Like, when's the last time that you really seen DK Metcalf happy, with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, he doesn't really get the ball, right? Like he did with Geno and the Seahawks. And then Waddle even gets the ball less. At least once in a while you'll see DK flash, but it just feels like, you got Waddle and you would assume that he'd be able to get a lot of targets and a lot of looks, right? And since, Tyreek is out, but I don't know. It feels like he's just kind of a forgotten piece, and they would just rather run the ball with Achane like a billion times. And that's all fine and dandy. But again, it's not like Achane is going to run for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. So, and there's a reason why, one team is 6-7 and the other is 7-6. Steelers don't even have TJ Watt and they're still winning this game. But, that 6-7 record is a little flawed. The Dolphins are on a 4-game win streak, but they're not on the same level, than the Steelers or even teams that are like, the Buccaneers or the Panthers. Even though our defense stinks, we should be able to take care of Miami. At least I sure as hell hope so. We're going to match up here shortly. So, if we can beat the Panthers and beat the Dolphins, we'll be in the playoffs. I don't expect us to really beat anybody. Same thing with the Steelers. If they make it over the Ravens, I wouldn't assume that they would be able to beat anybody. But, as long as you get to the playoffs, I guess that could be an exciting thing. And you never know, Injuries in the last 3 weeks. Again, we've already seen Patrick Mahomes go down with an ACL tear. Prayers up to him. Michael Parsons, obviously going down with a major injury, as well as Devontae Adams. Prayers up to all 3 of those guys. And realistically, with 3 more games to go in the regular season, 3 more weeks, there's a pretty good chance that there's going to be some other high-profile names that are going to be hurt, for a few weeks, or possibly hurt for the rest of the year. And, you just got to be able to cross your fingers and hope it's not guys on your favorite team. Yeah, they had to get Thielen. Agreed. And again, it's like you don't even see Pat Freiermuth get the football anymore, which is a little bit of a head scratcher, because when you get Pat the ball, he makes, positive yards and can get in the end zone. But again, it just doesn't feel right with both of these teams, and Tomlin obviously, can still find, a job over the years, but, they're no longer, Super Bowl threats or Super Bowl contenders. At this point, you're just trying to make the playoffs over the Ravens. Shotgun set. And there's DK. And Bradley Chubb with a little trip up there. Second down and 5, and then a little screen there. Jack Jones with a nice tackle. Third down and 3. And after that quick snap, Rodgers incomplete to MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but you got too many men on the field on Miami, and that'll be an automatic first down for the Steelers. But it feels like the Steelers are starting to click on offense and defense, not so much for Miami. Miami's still doing an okay job defensively, but again, if the Steelers keep gaining this momentum with Rodgers, even the Miami defense is going to start taking a step back. You're down 11 at this point, but it kind of feels like Steelers momentarily are going to get, another field goal or another touchdown, if they can keep moving the chains. First down and 10 goes to Kenneth Gainwell up the middle, who's been very productive. 9-yard gain. Second down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 44. Rasul Douglas, the corner for the Dolphins, with the tackle. Shotgun set, Gainwell again, and a nice 9-yard run. Chop Robinson with the tackle, the linebacker for Miami. First down, Pittsburgh. Move the chains. I mean, Miami at this point would be lucky to get to 13 before this one is over. And Pittsburgh still has a chance to get to the high 20s, maybe even low 30s if they keep playing this way. Shotgun set, Rodgers, short middle to Gainwell. 5-yard gain. Second down and 5 at the Miami 42. But they gain momentum getting the touchdown right before the half, and looks like they haven't really looked back since. And at some point, Miami's defense is going to start getting tired, for being on the field so much here in the second half. And, this could end up turning into a blowout, even though it was 0-0 after the first quarter. Shotgun set, Rodgers, short middle to Pat Freiermuth. And again, why haven't they been going to Pat? Get him the rock. And that is incomplete. Third down and 5 at the Miami 42. And I know they have Jonnu Smith and they have a few other options at tight end, but, I feel like Freiermuth and DK are too good, offensive weapons to not get more looks from Rodgers. But obviously Rodgers is limited. He's over 40. The offensive line for Pittsburgh isn't the greatest. So again, he's got to, do the best he can, with his 40-plus-year-old body out there. But it's crazy to say how much more efficient he is than Tua, but that's just the reality. Shotgun set on second down and 6, Rodgers, and that was incomplete. Jordan Brooks almost with the pick, and timeout, Pittsburgh. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. 14-3 Pittsburgh. And the play clock was at 1, so they didn't want to take that penalty. And we'll see if Rodgers can, lock and load and go deep. I mean, he's got plenty of options. And again, I feel a little sorry for teams like Miami and, the Jets and the Raiders and the Browns, but, Miami is lucky to be on a 4-game win streak going into this game, but it kind of makes you wonder who the hell did they play to win 4 games in a row? Because if you look at Miami's roster, it's not very good. Shotgun set, Rodgers, short middle, and they go back to Pat Freiermuth, my boy. Muth. First down, Steelers. Trader with the tackle. First down and 10 after that 16-yard completion from Rodgers to Pat Freiermuth. And again, Freiermuth is too talented of a tight end to not get the football. And again, someone's going to win the division between the Steelers and the Ravens. Same thing goes with the Buccaneers and the Panthers in the NFC South, the 2 worst divisions in football. But again, if the Bucs and the Steelers make it, again, they will both be happy, and, we'll see what happens. Steelers have definitely opened the game up, and momentarily here, it could be another touchdown. Getting closer already into field goal range. And Gainwell runs to that right side. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the former Steeler, with the tackle. Personal game for him, and that's a loss of 2. Second down and 12 at the Miami 28. I mean, sometimes teams get desperate. Look at the Colts. They had to call Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played football in a few years, right? So Rodgers, shotgun set, going deep to Freiermuth. And once, Aaron finds a target, he loves to keep going to that guy if possible. And sometimes even running the same play over and over and over like he used to do in Green Bay. But that time it ends up being incomplete to Pat Freiermuth. Third down and 12 at the Miami 28. Maybe the sports gods want me to be happy with a Freiermuth touchdown, but I'm not sure if you'll get one here in this drive, but it is possible he gets in the end zone before the game is over. But again, they do have Jonnu Smith in Washington at tight end as well. So, they have quite a few guys stacked in that position. Jack Jones and DK Metcalf chirping at each other. And again, that's how you get DK Metcalf out of the game. Rodgers, DK, it's up. Touchdown, Steelers. There he is. After getting chirped at by Jack Jones, DK says, hey, I need to get a Geno Smith type of throw when I was on Seattle. And there it is. Touchdown, Rodgers to DK. Extra point up by Boswell is up and good. 21-3 Steelers, and they are looking back. Wow. Nice job. That was impressive. Great yak yards after the catch for DK Metcalf, which we would see, when he was on the Seattle Seahawks. Great job there. .28-yard touchdown there from Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf. There we go, baby. In a game that was 0-0 in the first quarter and kind of felt like, hell, maybe this game is going to finish 0-0. Finally, the offense starts to come alive. Miami's defense is getting tired after playing very well in the first quarter, and you just don't have enough offense. I mean, really the only option you have is Achane. You do have Waddle and a few of these other guys, but again, Tua's not very consistent. Waddle doesn't get the football, and you can't run Achane 40 times a game and thinking that he's going to score 3 or 4 times. And, Miami would be lucky to even get to 13 if this one is over. But Pittsburgh at 21, pacing for, 35 to 40 points before this one is done. And, hopefully we'll be able to get a few more touchdowns in this game. And, if Miami could end up getting at least a few more points to make it somewhat interesting, that would be great. But right now, we're starting to head to a blowout, 21-3. And that makes me happy that they at least put up 21, And again, we had a 0-0 game all first quarter. And then again, it was 3-0 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. And then Pittsburgh got a touchdown right before half, scored it right after halftime ended, and they haven't looked back. Yeah, well, the Bills are a very special team. They're one of the only teams that could be down 21 to any team and come back and win. I mean, if you have Josh Allen and you have James Cook, again, anything is possible. We know their run defense is one of the bottom 3, but their secondary is top 5. So if you pass the ball on the Bills, you play into their hands late in the game. But if you can run on Buffalo, that's how you beat them. And they should have went with more Travion Henderson. I mean, he's an amazing running back. He should be Rookie of the Year. Ibuka looked good in the first month, but he hasn't been as consistent. Obviously, as Travion Henderson. Tyler Warren for the Colts at tight end has been great. But, again, defense wins games. Defense wins championships. New England is one of the most well-rounded teams with offense, defense, and special teams. They played great this season. But again, if you're going to be going against Josh Allen, again, that could be the bugaboo, to New England and Denver. They both have dreams of representing in the Super Bowl. But again, it could end up being Josh Allen leading Buffalo in the AFC. And then on the NFC side, obviously you got the Rams and Seahawks at the top. But then you also got the Niners and the Bears, the Packers, the Eagles, the Lions, and it's pretty much anyone's guess on, who's going to represent. Right now, you have to assume the Rams and Seahawks are the favorites. But again, it could be one of those other teams, Philadelphia, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, even though we know they're a few levels lower than the Rams or the Seahawks. But again, the Rams lost Devontae Adams. And if they end up losing another receiver like Puka or a running back like Kyron or Matthew Stafford, then it all opens up. So, We know the Eagle offense hasn't been very consistent. Packers, Bears, and Lions have been up and down. The Buccaneers and Panthers aren't good enough to go on a deep run this year from the NFC South. And the Niners are just well coached with Shanahan and Saleh, and they're just not going anywhere. So, it's kind of anyone's guess, but again, anything could happen in these last 3 weeks. Kickoff by Boswell, 52 yards, and a nice return there. Shotgun set. And they decide to go to Achane again. That's kind of the common theme. The only thing they can do, loss of a yard. And even when you go to Achane, you're not even getting positive yards. Loss of 2. Cameron Hayward with the tackle. 2nd down and 12 at the Miami 27. Yeah, but the Bills are good enough to win at home or on the road. And I think they've proven that all season. Really the thorn in their side was Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but now that's not a problem. And shotgun set to a short left to Jalen Waddle. Incomplete. 3rd down and 12 at the Miami 27. Yeah, even with because again, they played well on defense, even before they got Micah, and then adding Micah was great. But, the Packers are still, a dangerous team, even though they lost to the Broncos. And again, I would put them in that same category with like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Detroit, and the San Francisco 49ers, where, you don't really know what version of the team is going to show up, but I guess if you had to do a pecking order, you would go Rams 1, Seahawks 2, and then you would probably go Eagles 3 just based off the respect. Almost picked by the Steelers. Wow. Highsmith should have had that. Shotgun set. Tua. Uh-oh. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Peyton Wilson. And that's going to be a loss of 11. And it feels like this is a common theme on 3rd down where you're getting sacked, for a big sack lunch, to go to 4th and long for not only Tua, but also for Aaron Rodgers. But I still think the Packers, could make a run without Micah. I think that the Packers, the Bears, the Lions, and the Eagles, Niners, they're all kind of in the mix. And you could probably argue, maybe Eagles, Packers, and then, probably Bears would be the best teams on the next tier below the Rams and Seahawks. But, anything is possible. Especially when had, those big season-ending injuries or extended injuries where we had Mahomes, ACL tear, Micah Parsons could be out for the year, it looks like, and then Devontae Adams with a serious injury. And, when you end up having guys that, are key components, to an offense or defense, and you get injured, in December, that is not what you want at that point of the season. 4th down and 22, and the Dolphins are going to punt. And I don't even know if the Dolphins are going to get any more points in this game, the way that they're playing and the way that they're play calling. And a legal block above the waist on Pittsburgh. And now it's going to be 1st down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 19. Appreciate that, TJ. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. It's crazy how Aaron Rodgers can make Tua look like a backup quarterback. I mean, he doesn't even look like he's good enough to start in the NFL. And I know they're on a 4-game win streak, and I know when they play shitty teams, sometimes Tua can go off, and that was, even prior to all the concussions, but he's just not, a guy that's consistent, but it's not just his fault. It's the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the O-line, obviously the weapons that you have at wide receiver and tight end. The defense can only do so much for so long before they get tired, and they got Jordan Brooks and a few names, on that side of the ball, but kind of, crazy to me that this team that we're watching today is on a 4-game win streak, Miami, coming into this game. But at this point, I mean, I don't even know if they can score. the rest of this, matchup. I mean, it's 21-3, and other than handing it off to Achane, I mean, is that the only thing that you can do? Pretty sad. I mean, you're 6-7, 2-4 record on the road, but when you're watching this team, it feels like maybe they only have like 2 wins. It kind of feels like you're watching the Raiders or the Browns or the Jets. Even though Miami may have a couple more wins than some of those teams, they're playing like those teams, the bottom feeders, in the NFL. We'll see what happens here with Aaron Rodgers, if they'll find a way to go to Gainwell or to DK Metcalf, but it is all Pittsburgh. It was 0-0 after the first quarter, but not anymore. 21-3 Steelers. Shotgun set, Rodgers going short right to Darnell Washington, who is a massive football player, 6'7", 275. Takes 5 or 6 guys to bring him down from Georgia, the tight end. And they also have Jonnu Smith, the former Tennessee Titan. So, they got 3 tight ends with Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, and Jonnu Smith. So, you could definitely run a double tight end set if you want to. They picked up Adam Thielen as well to help open kind of some of the lanes for DK Metcalf, which worked obviously earlier today. And, DK finding a way to catch the football and run over a few guys. And we have a 21-3 Steeler lead. And Warren runs towards that right side. 2-yard gain, 3rd down and 8 at the Pittsburgh 21. Dodson and Grant with the tackle. And unless there's something worth doing, I think we're going to be off on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll be back live on one of the games of the year, the Rams versus the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, and we'll definitely be live for that. I assume we'll be doing Oklahoma and Alabama for the college football playoff on Friday. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing the Bears-Packer, late matchup, or Oregon and JMU. Probably Oregon and JMU, considering we are Pacific Northwest fans here on the channel. So 3rd down and 8 at the Pittsburgh 21. But Miami needs a new quarterback. But again, quite a few teams do as well. Right? The Jets need a quarterback. Raiders need a quarterback. Miami needs a quarterback, even though they won't draft one. But Tua ain't it. I mean, the only way you're going to maximize Tua's, skill set is if he was on a team like the Niners or the Rams with McVay or with Kyle Shanahan coaching. Again, you need better coaching to be able to make a player like Tua succeed. And a little check down there to Pat Freiermuth. And looks like we get a taunting penalty here on Miami after the play is over, after that 7-yard pass. And that's going to turn into an automatic 1st down, Steelers. And again, you're already down 18 points. This is not the time or place to be taunting, but I guess that's what happens when you get frustrated and when you're down by 18. First unsportsmanlike conduct there on Jordan Brooks. And Jordan Brooks is a great football player. I mean, he's sideline to sideline. He's really one of the only guys on Miami that's doing anything, defensively. But Gainwell bouncing off to that right side. Nice 9-yard gain. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the former Steeler, with the tackle. 2nd down and 1 at the Miami 48. We got less than 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. 21-3 Pittsburgh, giving Miami an ass whooping, even though they're on a 4-game win streak. But again, Tua's 0-5 in cold weather. And again, it looks like they're going to be 0-6 in about a quarter and a minute. Only thing Miami can do to really get back in this game is if they were able to get a pick 6 or a fumble for a touchdown on Rodgers, and I don't know if you're going to have that happen. Shotgun set, Gainwell off that right tackle, Jordan Phillips with the tackle. And that's going to be a 2-yard run. First down, Steelers. Move the chains. First down and 10 at the Miami 46. 21-3 Steelers. Was hoping that it would be more of a closer matchup where the score would be like, 13-13 or 17-13 at this point for an exciting fourth quarter. But unfortunately, Miami's offense did not wake up here today. Yeah, the Ravens-Patriots Sunday night football game is going to be very good. And again, the Ravens' problem is typically coaching and play calling. So if they can find a way for Lamar to, find a little bit of magic with Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, that's a must-win game for them. I don't know if they can keep up with New England based on how good they've been this year, but it'll be a very interesting matchup, and hopefully Baltimore can bring their A game, which they really haven't done a whole lot throughout the season. And we got an illegal shift on Pittsburgh, unfortunately. Flag comes out after Rodgers scrambles for a couple towards that sideline. And that's going to be the end of the third quarter. First down and 15 at the Pittsburgh 49. 21-3 Steelers. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Going to the fourth quarter, best case scenario for Miami, they get to 13. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Hell, I don't even know if they're going to get any more points. And then best case scenario for Pittsburgh would probably getting to 35 with 2 more touchdowns. You still got a quarter to go, but we'll see if Miami has anything left, and we'll see if Pittsburgh can keep stepping on the gas and not letting up. Yeah, I highly doubt that the Ravens are going to play 4 quarters with New England. Even if New England's on the road, they've proven that they can win, just as much on the road as well as at home. So. Especially with an 11-3 record. But again, you got to be able to figure out how to be able to beat the big boys like Buffalo, right? Being up 21-0 in the first quarter and then losing that game, that's not what they want to see. And there is a very real possibility that Buffalo will have to go through not only New England again, but also Denver. And again, Denver and New England, they know how good that those teams are. But again, if there is one team that is a little shaky on defense, at least for the run defense in Buffalo, no one has Josh Allen besides Buffalo. No one's got James Cook. James Cook has been playing like a top 5 running back, top 2 as of late. And, there's not very many quarterbacks like Josh Allen, who could score potentially 3 touchdowns in the air and 2 or 3 on the ground if you give him time. So it's going to be very exciting to be able to see what we get in this upcoming week. But I'll be doing the Rams and Seahawks on Thursday night. I'll be watching the Packers and the Bears on Saturday, but we'll be doing probably Ducks and JMU for the college football playoff, as well as Oklahoma and Alabama on Friday for the college football playoff. And then on Sunday, a couple good matchups, Tampa and Carolina trying to win the division, even the battle of the bads, but Jacksonville, Denver, that'll be a good opportunity for Jacksonville to try to upset Denver in Denver. And the way that Jacksonville has been playing lately, they're going to have a chance. And then obviously that New England-Baltimore game that you mentioned will be must-see TV. We'll be streaming that. And then we got the Niners and the Colts on Monday night. Shotgun set. Rodgers, short left to Pat Freiermuth. 22 yards. First down, Steelers. Davis and Gay with the tackle. First down and 10 at the Miami 29. And feels like a switch has been flipped with the Pittsburgh offense as soon as they got that score right before half, and they haven't looked back. Whether it's Gainwell, DK Metcalf, or Aaron Rodgers, they're finding some momentum. And Gainwell running off that right guard for 5 yards. Second down and 5 at the Miami 24. About 13 minutes left before this game is up. 21-3 Steelers, and they're marching again. Keep getting Pat Freiermuth the ball, baby. And even though Rodgers is old, he's not really going to force too many bad throws. Rodgers, short right to Jaylen Warren, and a nice about 10-yard gain. Looked like there was a chance to get a little bit more, but nice 10-yard pass from Rodgers to Jaylen Warren. First down, Steelers. Move the chains. Maybe Miami's only chance of continuing their 4-game win streak is if they were at home, but, again, very inconsistent on offense and defense in this game. And it feels like we're just moments away of it being 28-3 Steelers. Drake May. And we got a Dolphin down. You can definitely tell the teams that are well coached, and that's a big part of it. You got to have good coaches, you got to have good coordinators, and you have to have good execution. And not very many teams have all three. Minka Fitzpatrick is down. Hopefully he's okay. And we go to a commercial break, and hopefully he is all right. Now, every once in a while, you're going to end up getting a blowout. But again, I would rather have the Steelers score a bunch of points and have a blowout rather than this game being, 3-3 or 0-0 at this point. So I was definitely fearing, with these two teams, one at 6-7, Miami with a 4-game win streak, and then Pittsburgh at 7-6 with no TJ Watt. I was like, this could end up being a very, very low scoring, kind of boring game. And then when it was 0-0 in the first quarter, it definitely wasn't looking very good. But, we finally got a few points, got a field goal by Miami, and then Pittsburgh scored right before the half. And, luckily they made the proper adjustments in the third and fourth quarter. And, Pittsburgh still has an opportunity to be able to get to the mid-30s. And with Miami, you're not winning this game, but hopefully for pride, you can get to at least 10, but I don't know if you can even get a touchdown on this Pittsburgh defense that doesn't even have TJ Watt. They just have not been effective. It could be a hell of a lot slower than 21-3. Score could be 3-3 right now, or even 3-0. So I guess we have to be happy about that. At least we're able to see a few touchdowns here. And Minka is down, and I don't know if they're going to bring out the cart. No, it looks like he finally gets up. Oh, the Steeler players kind of huddling around. Obviously, Minka was a big part of that Pittsburgh defense for quite some time. And there it is. Jonnu Smith, touchdown, Steelers. Rodgers strikes again, and now it's 27-3 Pittsburgh. After the Minkah Fitzpatrick injury, they don't waste any time, and a nice 14-yard touchdown run by Jonnu Smith, the tight end. Beautiful. Extra point up by Boswell is good. 28-3 Steelers. Nice job there by Jonnu Smith. Obviously, most notably known when he was on the Titans back in the day. But again, nice job there by Jonnu Smith. They're getting a little bit tricky, when they're starting to be able to put, players that normally don't play running back, in the running back position. You're putting tight ends, as your running back. And, it's worked, right? They did it right before the half, right? With Connor Hayward, a tight end who got a direct snap and he scored. And then you got Pat Fryermuth involved here in the second half, even though he hasn't got in the end zone yet. And then obviously Jonnu Smith, you line him up as a tight end, as a running back, and a 14-yard rush. Very impressive. Normally you don't really see tight ends, getting running back opportunities, especially when you got Gainwell and Jalen Warren that usually get those looks. But I guess when you're playing the Miami Dolphins, you can do whatever the hell you want. 28-3 Pittsburgh. $13:01 left in the fourth quarter. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. But it has been all Aaron Rodgers today. Tua, I don't know if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL. Again, you might be able to put up some monster stats, at times against bad teams, but even with no TJ Watt, you're only able to put up 3. Pretty sad. And you haven't really been able to see him throw to anybody. It's not like they don't have options. Obviously, if Tyreek was available, that gives you another weapon. But even Tyreek lately in the last few years hasn't been as effective as he was earlier in his career when he was on the Chiefs. And, you got a few options. Achane is a nice player. But again, it just feels like they're incredibly predictable. It's like Achane run on first down, Achane run on second down, and then when it's third down and long, they throw it incomplete and then punt, or they just run it 3 times in a row. You got to be able to do something other than run pass, or run, and then assume that you're just going to keep moving the chains and moving the sticks. But I guess that's what they came into this game plan, and hey, it's not working. Boswell kicks 63 yards, and a nice 33-yard return there by D. Eskridge. First down and 10 at the Miami 35. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And Tua, short left on first down and 10, goes to Achane. And a nice 14-yard pass from Tua to Achane. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. No offense, no defense, no special teams. That's rough. I mean, I know that the Buccaneers have had injuries and, you know, our defense is bad, but we're not this bad. And at least we have guys on offense that can move the ball and to be entertaining. First down and 10, and handoff to Achane there towards that left side, 9-yard gain. Second down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 42. I mean, Achane is out there running like he's the one-man band. I mean, do they have anyone else that they feel comfortable with besides Achane? Apparently not. I mean, why even have Tua out there? Just run Achane at quarterback. I mean, just have him run direct snaps. I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing. First down since 6:58 left in the second quarter. That's how bad it's been. Tua. Oh, there's Jalen Waddle. Look at that. 16-yard pass. First down. Dolphins. Back-to-back first downs. They deserve points for that. I mean, that's how bad this game has been. Might as well give points to the Dolphins every time they get a first down the rest of the way, and they still would lose. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 26, but at least back-to-back plays by Tua, you know, being somewhat productive. Achane on the first, and then Jalen Waddle on the second. Waddle is too good of a wide receiver to be playing here in Miami. He needs to go to a different team to have a little bit of a rebirth in his career. We got about 10 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh giving the Dolphins an ass whooping, but Miami is starting to get hot here. Tua going deep middle to Darren Waller, the former Raider, and he got it. First down, Dolphins. Wow, back-to-back first downs? You got to be kidding me. 20-yard pass from Tua to Waller. First and goal at the Pittsburgh 6. Now, hopefully they don't have a self-inflicted wound and when they shoot themselves in the foot with a penalty here or throw a pick or a fumble. But now they're knocking on the door, and obviously this is close enough to actually give the ball to Achane a few times to potentially make this a 28-10 game. But nice passing by Tua. We haven't said that all game. 3 consecutive first downs after only having a first down, you know, in the second quarter until then. Shotgun set, Tua, short right, incomplete. Second and goal at the Pittsburgh 6. Yeah, they're getting brutalized out there. But even though it's 28-3, I'd rather see 28-3 than 3-3 at this point. So at least Pittsburgh is doing something. I think it also shows you how good Pittsburgh can be at times on defense, even without TJ Watt. But again, you know, when you're playing kind of one of the bottom feeder teams, you know, they are on a 4-game win streak, but they definitely have got punched in the mouth early and often in this game, Tua and the Dolphins. But it could be worse. You know, they could be the Raiders or the Jets or the Browns. So, I mean, I know it sucks, you know, for a lot of Dolphin fans, you know, that grew up in the Dan Marino era, you know, and to be able to watch this, you know, product that's in front of you, but it could be worse. You know, you could be a Raider fan, a Jet fan, or a Brown fan. That's much worse if you ask me. I mean, at least the Dolphins have somewhat unique, you know, uniforms and colors, and hopefully at some point they'll be able to move on from Tua. And Tua, short right, Darren Waller is there. Touchdown, Dolphins. There we go. There we go, Miami. You're still a kind of a garbage team, but hey, at least you're able to find a way to at least get some points. And thankfully, after getting a few first downs on this drive, Tua finding Darren Waller, and he jumps up and ends up boxing out his defender. Nice job by Darren Waller, who had a little bit of a rebirth in his career after he retired and came back to the game. And hopefully Miami isn't stupid enough to go for 2 here. Just take the extra point. And they are going for 2. I mean, dumb teams do dumb things, right? You get the 2, and then, yeah, you're down by 17, but Just take, you're not coming back and winning this game. Just take the 10. I mean, obviously, if you end up getting the 2-point conversion, good for you. But, obviously 2-point conversions are, they're 1 for 1 this season, so good for them. But the success rate is about 43%. And I highly doubt they're going to get it. Tua, 2-point conversion, back of the end zone. Stupid, incomplete. Why even do that? It's 43%. Just take the extra point. And now 28-9, it looks ugly. I mean, it looks better than 28-3, but if it's 28-10 and you're in double digits, it looks a little bit better on the scoreboard. .9:41 left in the fourth quarter, 28-9 Pittsburgh. .9:41 left in the fourth quarter, 28-9 Pittsburgh. Nice job, Tua. Finally, finding something there. 10 for 18, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. Aaron Rodgers right now is, a little bit more conservative, right? But 22 for 26 with 2 TDs. And again, that's, stats that maybe you would normally hear when he was in his prime, in Green Bay. You wouldn't expect him to be 22 for 26 and 2 TDs and no picks, but in 2025 with Pittsburgh, but you are going against the Miami Dolphins, so. All right, let's see if we can get a few more field goals and a few more touchdowns before this one is up. 28-9 Steelers. Looking forward to Fallout Season 2 tomorrow. We'll definitely be watching that. All right, Tua finally ended up getting a touchdown there to Darren Waller. Let's see if Aaron Rodgers can find maybe Pat Freiermuth in the end zone to kind of cap off this game. But I guess better late than never after starting off the game in the first quarter at 0-0. And Riley Patterson with a 59-yard kick. 30-yard return there by Jalen Warren. Nice return. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 36-37. Shotgun set. Caleb Johnson getting a chance to pound the rock. 1-yard gain. Second down and 9 at the Pittsburgh 37. 4 straight TD drives. That's the first time since 2018. Wow. That's crazy. And you did it with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. That's wild. But again, they've been looking for another Ben Roethlisberger. And again, Ben Roethlisbergers don't grow on trees. And, they were happy to have him for as long as they did. But, they really haven't had a good quarterback since Big Ben. And, hopefully one day they will. Caleb Johnson running off that left tackle for a 3-yard gain. Kenneth Grant, the D tackle for the Dolphins, with the coverage. Third down and 6 at the Pittsburgh 40. Top 5 quarterbacks: Dante Moore from Oregon, Fernando Mendoza, Indiana, Ty Simpson, John Mateer from Oklahoma, and Darian Mensah. But I don't know if any of those guys are going to pan out in the NFL. And I'm a big Duck fan. I've been a Duck fan since the 80s and whatnot, but I don't know. If you put Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza on the Raiders and Jets, that's not good enough to turn those programs around. They're still going to be terrible. So, seems like kind of a weak draft at quarterback. Halfback toss on second down and 9. And a little minimal gain there. Third down and 6. And timeout, Pittsburgh. That was timeout number 2 there by the Steelers. Wow, 22 straight home football game victories for the Steelers. That's wild. I feel that there's definitely going to be a few, studs that are going to come out from the offensive line and the defense, and every once in a while you're going to get some good wide receivers, tight ends. But as far as the quarterback class, it seems very, very weak. And, this could end up being kind of a weaker draft overall. There's still going to be some spectacular talent that comes out, but it definitely feels kind of like an off year, overall. There's still going to be some amazing talent that comes out that will, end up, showing out. But as far as a whole, it kind of feels like it's going to be a down year overall, but, we'll find out. Shotgun set, Rodgers to Jalen Warren, and that's a 5-yard pass. 4th down and 1 at the Pittsburgh 45. And Pittsburgh is doing all of this with no TJ Watt. Very impressed. And Miami had a 4-game win streak. But again, even if Miami played at home, I don't know if you're going to beat Pittsburgh. Are they going to give them the first down, or is it 4th and 1? Initially, they gave them the first down, but I think they readjusted the spot of the football here. And they decided to change it here. See if it's the correct call. Yeah, it definitely is the correct call. Did not get the first down. 4th and 1 is the correct call. So Steeler fans can boo, but that was correct. And the Steelers decide to be conservative and punt. And Waitman punts. And you get a 48-yard punt. Malik Washington with a 7-yard return. And they could have easily gotten that first down if they would have went with like a direct snap to one of their tight ends. And then, but again, you're up 28-9. I guess you don't really need to go that route. And we'll see if Tua can replicate what he did on the previous drive and get another touchdown. And again, if we can end up getting it to 28-17 or 31-17 after being 0-0 after the first quarter, I would say that's pretty good success, considering it looked like this was going to be a horrible game after 0-0 in the first quarter. And it's still a blowout, but at least we've been able to see some action in the third and fourth quarter. Shotgun set for Tua. Short right to Jalen Wright, 9 yards. 2nd down and 1 at the Miami 23. All right, Tua, what do you got in your bag? Got about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 28-9 Steelers. Gained a few subs since the last commercial break. Appreciate all the new subs that we've been able to acquire. 85 subs to go to 23,400. Appreciate you. Shotgun set to a short middle to Julian Hill, 5-yard pass. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. Patrick Queen with the tackle. First down and 10 at the Miami 28. And again, best case scenario here for the Dolphins. They get another touchdown to make it 28-17. Shotgun set. Tua Looking, and it's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Cameron Hayward, loss of 7, 2nd down and 17 at the Miami 21. Nice sack lunch there by Cameron Hayward. About 6 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. 28-9 Steelers. I mean, it kind of feels like it's going to be the Steelers and Buccaneers that make the playoffs, and it might be ugly. Both teams might be 9-8 when they make it, or something of that nature. But you get in. Tua going deep right. Oh, Dolphins is there. Wow, first down, Dolphins. 29-yard pass from Tua to Dulcich. First down and 10 at the 50. All right, Tua. He's starting to wake up a little bit here in the fourth quarter. I mean, obviously, there's no chance for them coming back, and winning the game. But if they can get to 17, before the game is over, I would say that's a pretty good success, considering how bad they were in the first half. Yeah, well, if you actually looked at the standings, the Bucs and the Panthers are both 7-7. So somebody's got to win the division. We played the Dolphins and the Panthers twice. So if we win 2 out of 3, we're in. So we may not be able to beat anybody when we make the playoffs, but we're trying to win the NFC South crown 5th year in a row. So shotgun set, Tua short left to Darren Waller. 4-yard gain. Asante Samuel with the tackle. 2nd down and 6 at the Pittsburgh 46. $13 for 18, 164 yards, one tutty, and one pick there for Tua. And we'll see if we can get another tutty before this one is over. Tua, short left on that shotgun set. Darren Waller has been one of his favorite targets here in the second half. 9-yard pass, first down and 10. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. No, we lost on Thursday to the Falcons. Only one game on Monday night today. No huddle, shotgun set. Tua, short left to Achane. 6-yard pass. 2nd down and 4 at the Pittsburgh 31. We've had a lot of injuries this year. I mean, it's not really the type of year that we're used to, but we still have a chance to be able to win the division. So, most people thought it would be the Bucs or the Falcons this year, but obviously Falcons have had, some, tough games and some injuries themselves. And we know the Saints are at the bottom, even though they're starting to win games here late against the Bucs and the Panthers. We got about 3 minutes left here in the fourth. Shotgun set, Tua, short left to Achane. There he is, 18-yard pass. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. First down and 10 at the Pittsburgh 13. And it looks like they're going to be in range where if Tua can find, Darren Waller or Waddle, they might be able to actually get this next touchdown. If we could only have gotten this Miami offense in the fourth quarter in the first half, and then maybe, the game is a little bit closer, but. And timeout Pittsburgh. 2:38 left in the fourth quarter. Steelers up 28-9 in firm control of this game and the victory, but Miami is still grinding away, trying to get the stats up for some of their guys, and we'll see if Tua can throw his second touchdown pass before this game is over. Definitely offense is a little bit more efficient in the second half here for Miami. Not a good enough to win, but at least good enough to, make the scoreboard respectable when it's all said and done. All right, let's look at the schedule. Steelers got the Lions, which could be a loss. Cleveland, that'll be a tough one, even though they're 3-11 in Baltimore. And then the Ravens got New England, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. So, based on the schedule alone, you would assume the Steelers are going to win the division. Ravens having to go against New England, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. You may not win any of those games. Shotgun set, Tua, Darren Waller again, touchdown, Dolphins. They should have went for the extra point, so that way they could go for the extra point again, and it would be, obviously 28-17, but you went for the 2-point conversion, didn't get it the first time around, and I assume that they're going to go for another 2-point conversion here. But nice job for Darren Waller, kind of revitalizing his career here with Tua, 28-15 with 2:32 left. And Tua, looking. Can't find anybody open. Then finally does, and the pass is dropped by Dulcich. Incomplete. And again, if they just would have been smart and taken the extra point on the last 2 touchdowns, it would be 28-17. But, it is what it is. But nice for Darren Waller to, finally kind of revitalize his career. Was played for the Raiders, had a lot of mental health, things going on, was on the Giants, retired from football, and then obviously finding a way to make his way here on Miami. And Tua's favorite target today is Darren Waller. All right, onside kick incoming here for Miami. This season, onside kicks 9%. Just like going for 2 is only 43%. You have to be able to look at the, the numbers. Obviously, you're down by 13, so you know that they're going to do it. But and onside kick there, 15-yard return, and it's going to be 1st down and 10 at the 50. And a few handoffs and a few passes, and then this one should be done here momentarily. But we still got a little bit of action to go. 2:30 left in the 4th quarter, 28-15 Steelers. Nice job by Hayward getting on that football. Adam Thielen almost lost it there for Pittsburgh. And Kenneth Gainwell runs towards that right tackle for a few. And timeout Miami. 2nd down and 6 at the Miami 46 with 2:25 left in the 4th quarter. Steelers up 28-15, up by 13 here in the 4th. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do help us get to 100 likes. 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Thank you. $84 subs to 23,400. Shout out to all the subs that we've acquired in December. Appreciate you. All right, Gainwell goes towards that right tackle for no gain. Rasul Douglas, the corner for Miami with the tackle. 3rd down and 6 at the Miami 46. And timeout, Dolphins. Broncos, Patriots, and the Bills are legit. And then you got the second tier of the teams like Texans, the Jags, and the Chargers. And then obviously you got the last one with the Pittsburgh Steelers, just trying to be able to get to the playoffs, even though they may not be able to beat anybody, but, definitely there's still some pride there to try to win. Same thing goes with the Buccaneers and the Panthers. You're trying to make it. Panthers got a good defense, but the offense is shaky. Buccaneers got a good offense. Defense is very, very shaky. And we'll find out, who ends up being the better team between Carolina and Tampa in the last 3 weeks. Normally, you don't play a team twice, in the last 3 weeks of the season, but that's how the schedule is laid out for the Bucs and the Panthers. Sunday, first start since 2020 wild card. But when you're desperate, you're going to go for a guy that hasn't played football in 5 years. Shotgun set. Rodgers. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. And that's been kind of a common theme on 3rd down for the defense to get a sack. And now the Dolphins are playing with some pride, finally. And timeout Miami. And that'll be timeout number 3, their last. And again, if they just would have went for extra points, it could have been 28-17, and then you would have, have a chance to get another touchdown to, possibly lose 28-24 or 28-25 if you finally made a 2-point conversion. It's a little too late here for Miami in the second half, but at least they're fighting and not just rolling over and giving up. So I appreciate that. And maybe we'll end up getting Tua to Darren Waller for his 3rd touchdown, just like we saw with Kirk Cousins going to with Kyle Pitts, with 3 tutties. And, normally you're not going to get, 3 touchdowns with the tight end, but, Pitts got 3 against Tampa, and, you got 2 with Darren Waller. Go for the trifecta. You could do it. And Corliss Waitman there with the punt, 50 yards. And down by Eccles, 1st down and 10 at the Miami 3. All right, Tua, you know where to go. Skoranek with the great special teams play there. Little 4-yard play there. 2nd down and 6 at the Miami 7. And then we are at the 2-minute warning. 28-15 Steelers. HN with that 4-yard run. And now we got 2 minutes to see if Miami can get Darren Waller his third touchdown of the game. Not bad, considering the score was 0-0 in the first quarter, and it looked like it was going to be 0-0 at halftime. And again, you just don't really know what version of these teams that you're going to get week in and week out. The Dolphins are on a 4-game win streak. That's going to end. Pittsburgh has won, 22 straight on Monday night. So, something had to give. And Miami is 0-5 with Tua in cold weather, now 0-6. But hopefully they'll be able to do something positive here in the last 2 minutes. But you probably have a better chance of Pittsburgh, getting a pick rather than Tua getting a touchdown here, but you never know. Last 2 minutes of the game, 28-15 Steelers. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. My boy. So next stream, I believe, will be on Thursday. I mean, I would like to be able to do, some football on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I don't really think we have anything worthwhile doing on the NBA, NHL, or obviously no NFL games on Tuesday or Wednesday. So realistically, the next stream will be on Thursday between the Rams and the Seahawks. Should be one of the best games of the year and one of the best Thursday night games as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Shotgun set to a short left to Darren Waller, his favorite target. Patrick Queen with the tackle. And now it ends up being third down. Shotgun set, and Tua sacked again on third down. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. And I don't know what the record is on sacks on third down in a game, but gosh, we've been getting a bunch here from Pittsburgh and Miami on third down, and now that's going to be 4th down and 3. They're going to go for it. No huddle, shotgun set, Tua, short middle to Echan. There we go. 7-yard pass, first down, Dolphins. First down and 10 at the Miami 17 after being backed up in their own end zone. Now they got less than a minute to go, 48 seconds left. Shotgun set, no huddle, Tua going short right to Nick Westbrook-Ikine, incomplete. 2nd down and 10 at the Miami 17. Ever since Pittsburgh ended up getting that touchdown before half, they never looked back after that. And then they did it without TJ Watt on defense, which is impressive. Four sacks for Pittsburgh with no TJ Watt. That's good. All right, Tua, what do you got cooking here? 2nd down and 10 at the Miami 17. Are you going to be able to get a few more first downs or a few more big plays? And delay a game. Self-inflicted wound by Miami. 2nd down and 15 now at the Miami 12 as they back up 5 yards. And Tua, short right with the shotgun set to Malik Washington. 10-yard pass, 3rd down and 5 at the Miami 22. Less than 20 seconds left here in the 4th quarter. I mean, it won't hurt for you to go deep here. Again, it might end up getting picked, but you never know. Shotgun set on the no huddle. Tua, short middle to Greg Dulcich. And that's a nice 16-yard pass. First down, Dolphins. Now, if we could have seen this version of Tua in the first half, maybe, they would be in the 20s by now, and maybe this game's a little bit closer, and it looks like the clock is winding down, and that is it. Final score, Steelers 28, Dolphins 15. So for a game that ended up being 0-0 after the first quarter, at least it ended up being somewhat entertaining. And thankfully, Aaron Rodgers and Tua were able to get something cooking, at least in the second half. Well, I appreciate every single one of y'all. And again, like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Appreciate all the newbies in the room as well. And again, final score, Steelers 28, Dolphins 15. And again, I will be back on Thursday for Thursday night football between the Rams and the Seahawks. Should be one of the best games of the year. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Okay.